Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to our live coverage here at Hitbox TV for the Challenger Face-Off between Karont3 and mousesports. I'm edited by Spuddington, and a bit of a throw from the left field there, I have to say, in game number 3, where K3 did come back and actually won it, so take it into this fourth game. Lots of people were expecting this to be a 3-0 whitewash after the previous two games, but I'm pretty happy that, K3 managed to bring it back.
Yeah, it shows good signs for their future. We were expecting it. I mean, it's a weird one because we were expecting it to be roughly even when we went in, and then it became a lot less. Our expectations dropped dramatically as the first two games went by, and even now, I'm still a little bit doubtful for Karont3's chances because, yes, we talked about it in the game. Yes, they did better this time. And yes, they actually won the game overall, but it felt like a lot of their success was predicated on their advantage that they gained in the early game.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I don't think that they're going to have the same kind of success as last time. One, because I would be extremely surprised if Italy gets locked in again, and two, because some of the champions that they felt were strong have slipped through the cracks. You're now going to have Condescend running on Pantheon, which we know is his second most played champion behind Lee Sin, that's constantly been banned out, and also, again, Libic is going to be able to run the Morgana. So, bit of a role reversal. Again, they have gone for the Irelia, and also Elise has been picked again, plus the Zed. And maybe a change of pace, because Take Fun is hovering over Fizz.
Interesting choice if they go Fizz there. It works actually in many ways very similarly to the LeBlanc pick. He's a very strong potential duelist, roam kind of blitz pusher with the rest of his team, and that's very, very dangerous if you get a snowballing jungler. And you get an aggressive early ganking jungler to go with it, but he's less reliable than LeBlanc. If he doesn't do well early game, if he doesn't do well with his level 6 power spike, he tends to be quite a non-factor.
Yeah, and they're going to have to try and make sure that doesn't happen. Jax has been locked in as well for Kubon, so second consecutive game for him. And to be fair to Kubon, it wasn't his fault, really, that the Jax wasn't as relevant as he'd hoped. It's a case that mid lane was punished so hard that he wasn't able to do what Jax wants to do, and that split push and really make a nuisance of himself. So, I do see the Jax pick again. I understand why he'd go for this one.
Yeah, Jax was not really the problem, and this time as well, Mouse have picked an even better Jax situation here, because look at that combo. You've got Kayle and Morgana both. You've got Black Shield and you've got Intervention. You put that on Jax, he builds 2 damage items, he kills your entire team because you can't kill him. Like, you can't do anything to him if he has those 2 things on him. Like, no damage resolves, no CC resolves. You can't really run away from him because he's too damn fast, and that's a really scary proposition to deal with in a team fight. But, of course, it'll take a while for him to scale up. Relies on getting that combination and not getting picked off and taken out one by one or forced to use the ultimates or the skills on the wrong people. So it's not like a 100% reliable strat.
Yeah, and do correct me if I'm wrong, Spud, because my memory's not good to start with, but when I'm this sick, it's even worse. This is an identical K3 squad, apart from Jarvan in mid replacing Zed. Is that correct? Everything else is the same.
You are correct, yes. That's exactly the same. Problem is, though, of course, Zed has a very different power curve from Jarvan.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
going to get actually bullied around in the early game, whereas Jarvan was a monster in the early game. So, where is Karont3 going to be focusing? Bot lane? Well, maybe, but it's hard to kill Jax early on. Bot lane? Well, maybe, but Black Shield says no Pelot. I don't know. I'm not sure I like that pick.
And the thing as well is Kayle hard counters Zed. I mean, Zed goes in with his death mark, Kayle just goes cool, intervention, and it's pretty much just negated. There's not really going to be much damage. He's taking exhaust as well, which again we've seen before will cripple Zed's damage output. So whereas in the third game they really took Nidalee to pieces, they're not going to be able to do even nearly the same to Kayle. And I think that's the reason they won game 3. They're not going to be able to do it again.
Yeah, so they're going to have to rely, most likely, on a more late-game focused plan. But if they do that, they are going to hit serious problems. Draven will destroy Ezreal in lane. There's almost no question about that, unless something goes seriously wrong. Kayle is a huge threat late game, and they've got that combo with the Jax. They've also got the superior split pushing from Jax, because we saw it last game. Jax, Kubon, even when he was behind, even when his team was behind, was still capable of 1v1ing Irelia very efficiently indeed. And this time, he's got the Pantheon jungle. Shyvana was not a good pick last time, exerted very little pressure over the game, and that was why Karont3, Mouse, in fact, couldn't bring themselves back after that snowball started.
I have to feel, purely off the picks, I favour Mouse pretty hard here. Across the board, I think they've got a very strong composition. Condizan's Pantheon is strong. I mean, we know that from how many games he's played on it. A player of this caliber, if you play Karont long enough, you're going to be damn good at it. And they got Kubon on Jax again, so a lot of the issues, a lot of the pitfalls they found in game number 3 are not going to be apparent this time around. And they have a lot of earlier kind of game presence as well with the Kayle and also the Draven at bot lane. So we're going to find out if it pays off here for Mouse, or if it's going to be a 2-2 series for K3 winning 2 off the back of one another. 2-minute delay remaining, so we can cut to a quick commercial break, and rejoin us will be on to Solomon's Rift for the 4th time in this second game in the Challenger Face-Off.
Tuning out of starlight, the innocent lifetime flickers and flashes under a canvas. No, nobody seems worth it, while the feeling's sophisticated. The view is so restrained. The past is nearing closer and closer, I fear. So let's just cut the bullshit and tell me who's independent. Thumbs twiddling and your life's escaping your mind. Keep in mind, well, the air ain't as free as it used to be, but that's quite alright when you're still 18, it seems to be. And I'll tell you who's overrated. What's a beautiful person with some hideous dreams?
Hello and welcome back. Once again, we are live on the Riff for what could be the last game of today in the Hitbox TV Challenger Face-Off between Karont3 and mousesports. So, I am joined by Spuddington. It's been a strange, windy road to this point, Spud. We both believed it would be a fairly comfortable 3-0 victory to Mouse after the first two performances, but that's not to be the case. And now in this fourth game, I think we both agree that mousesports' composition just seems a bit stronger on paper.
Yeah, it's going to be better at almost every stage of the game. A lot of what Karont3 are going to do is going to depend on Econator's early game, but Pantheon is going to be a stronger early game jungler even than that. But that's like the stage of the game where they're closest. That's maybe, a gank in the mid lane. Zed can be set up onto Kale before she's hit level 6 since she doesn't have an escape, and Econator's could set that up, and then they could snowball it, maybe. But other than that, yeah, it doesn't look good for them at any stage.
Yep, it's looking bleak, that's for sure, but we thought the same thing, and so did the audience after game 2, where 90% voted for Mouse to take it, cleanly 3-0, and it just wasn't the case. So you never quite know. It's going to come down to that execution. Probably a bit of momentum, and if Kubon dies here, this is going to be pretty bad news. He's going to use that counter strike, does stun 2 players. He's going to be okay. So fair play to him. He manages to survive. Gets a bit of information in the process. Pantheon probably knows what's coming, but he's still moved up there. So probably going to lose his red buff.
They're going for it though. They could fight this. It's a straight up 3-on-3, the bot lane's own bot lane.
Yeah, red does go down there though, and it's going to go to Eco. He's failed his flash and he will die for first blood on Kale. So red buff transfer, pause comes in, and it's Makler. I'm happy it's Makler and it wasn't one of the players who was in the midst of that fight there. But still, first blood on to Kale with the red buff as well. That's really big in mid lane.
Oh yeah, as Zed right now, you are thinking, oh, moly holy, that is a terrible thing to be against, because Zed now has no flash, no ignite. He has much less all-in potential on Take Fun than he ever did before. Take Fun has flash and exhaust. He can catch him whenever he wants. He also has ranged auto attacks with which he can apply a red buff now, and he's got an experience advantage. Oh wait, no he doesn't. I'm dumb, but he does have every single one of those other many tools at his disposal to make this already advantaged matchup super, super advantaged. And in fact, Neptuno has already taken like half his health and damage, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way in which case Zed survives in mid lane now for the next few moments, because once the Righteous Fury is up and the Reckoning lands, that is so much follow-up damage. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the only thing he can realistically do here is just stay away. Like, stay well out of range of any auto attacks, any Qs, any of that. And now Konzizan is actually going to find Econator, but level 1 Pantheon is going to be way stronger than Elise, and yet he's running away.
I may need to take this one, Spud, because for some reason my game's gone crazy and changed its resolution.
Okay, that is a little bit strange, but Econator actually gets it stolen away. Konzizan is level 2, and the bot lanes are scrambling to join up, so maybe they're going to get this flash. Libit goes in, has got the exhaust down. Dark Binding will follow that. Econator's goes down to Libic, still level 1, 3 minutes 20 into the game.
I am just reconnecting here, Spud, so I'll give you a poke when I'm in, but I don't know what the hell went wrong with my client there. A bit weird.
Yeah, very strange indeed. I mean, mine never forgets the settings. It never forgets.
It just, it randomly, halfway through a fight, just switched resolution to like 900 by 600 or something. It's like playing Red Alert 2.
Really weird, but Dark Binding landing on Jims. Chase up from Makler, but the exhaust comes down. He flashes out. Jims goes under the tower almost to keep following that up, but couldn't quite get the Q down. Makler had to run for his life, and we have more flashing up red as Konzizan invades the jungle. I'm being reminded here forcibly of Game 1 metas, Karont3 just invaded the enemy blue buff and killed the enemy jungle with an early game snowballing jungler.
Yep, and we were talking about on paper that the composition for Mouse looks good. Well, it just started a whole lot better. Libic is not in the greatest of positions. What is on his side, however, is that Jims is fairly low on hit points and not exactly huge on mana, and he takes another tower shot there, so Libic is going to be okay now due to that slight misstep by Jims.
I was a little bit surprised he was tanking that there. I guess the minions just got out of range of the tower for just long enough for him to take the aggro, so a little bit odd, but no dive, no kill. So Mouse are definitely ahead in this early game.
Definitely, no doubts at all. And Kale has managed to force with that red buff. Okay, it's run out now, but still 10 CS advantage over Zed. And we spoke before that whereas Zed normally, once he hits 6, gets a huge power spike in lane, and the presence, you have to be scared of Deathmark. Kale doesn't have that issue because intervention just straight up counters all the damage that will be fired on out from Neptuno.
Yeah, look at how much damage he's taking just trying to farm in this lane. That is scary stuff. You do not want to have to deal with that. Neptuno is in fact not going to deal with it. He's going to say, screw this, I'm out. Get the tea, we'll be back home soon. But actually, staying in. Actually, cancel the tea, no party. But Karont3 is going once again. He knows, man.
Level 2 Eco taking so much damage right now. And he's not going to be killed off, but he's going to be forced away from his jungle. And that's going to be White Wraith picked up from Karont3. So, again, Eco has to go back to spawn. Is falling further and further behind on experience. And again, they've alleviated the pressure. The mid hasn't crumbled, and the jungle has been completely shut down.
Yeah, it's now essentially a case of try and play it slow. Karont3 do have some picking potential on their side in the form of Zed, in the form of Ezreal and Elise, but now they're so far behind they can't really look for picks. They're just going to have to play out the lanes, try and keep themselves from falling further behind at this point. Trying to build an advantage at this point isn't really an option.
And Draven also is having quite a nice time at bot lane, so just across the board, Mouse are looking in the driver's seat. So, how is this going to transition into the next stages of the game? Because I can't see a weakness. I can't see a chink in the armor right now from the side of Mouse. And that's going to put K3 in such a bad psychological position because they can't even say, well, we have a saving grace because our bot lane's dumpstering theirs. Like, there is no saving grace right now.
Yeah, and I just want to note at this exact moment, Karont3 knows exactly where Karont3 is. He went through that ward at Tribrush, and that means he knows the red buff isn't spawned yet. He's going to go to Wraiths. He's going to go to Wolves. If he doesn't show up in mid lane, then I might be able to get a gank on him at white. It's definitely a possibility right now, and that's a scary prospect again because Karont3 is still very much weaker than Pantheon.
Yep, definitely, and it's having nowhere near the same kind of presence as that third game where they did manage to take the all-important victory. Take Fun 6, so is Zed, and it does already have the Stinger, so 10% cooldown reduction, but also 40...
Oh, look at that roam.
Yeah, the roam up to top lane. Kubon is... this isn't looking good. This really isn't looking good. And on top of that, Pantheon so much stronger than Eco. Are they going to go for this dive, though? No, probably not. Because the Cocoon landed, so that's just going to force them away. However, this is going to open up that top tower, although the creep wave has just been taken out courtesy of the tower itself.
Doesn't matter to them though. Irelia falls further behind Kubon. Not getting that first kill that they got last game where Kubon, like, Jerem just got a free kill. I mean, Kubon literally just walked under tower and died. So obviously the matchup is going to be worse than it was last time. As I already said, it was already not a brilliant matchup last time.
The big is flashing up
though.
red. Here comes Neptuno though from the side. The ignite as well will be enough to secure that kill. They get the double kill as well. Very nice mechanical play from Neptuno, and that could be the lifeline they so badly needed. Only 200 gold difference, and the tower will be falling as a result as well.
Yeah, very nicely done. The only thing about this timing is they are going to have to back off. Neptuno goes down, and of course Rydal now is also going to back off. Jim's going to clear the wave, then back off. this would actually be a very good timing for Mouse to go towards that dragon. If Konzizan can stop the bottom lane from recalling, that could be really good. We've actually got a teleport in the mid lane, though. Kubon, I don't know. Pretty much how I'd express what he just did.
A bit of shrug of the shoulders, really.
He's there for the dragon, though.
Yeah, that could be the play they're trying to set up here, but there's a Grand Skyfall on top of Dragon. Yeah, indeed. Kind of maybe
Maximum
a multi-purpose.
DPS on the dragon.
Yeah, maybe a multiple purpose there to stop Kayle from being dove upon, but also to secure Dragon if they didn't go for that fully. Mid tower won't be falling just yet. Creep wave is not going to be tanky enough, and this dragon will indeed go down. So 300 gold in it. Zed with a double kill, however, is certainly looking pretty good for K3. Much better than a few seconds ago.
Yeah,
in it.
So anyway, Pantheon going back to farming the jungle. I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold this tower though against Zed. This is quite a dangerous thing to be doing. Deathmark isn't up, but he's got to be very careful. He's below the point where the passive damage appears on the auto attacks from Neptuno.
Yep, in the bot lane, Jim's taking a bit of poke from Makler, but really the key word there is bit, not a great deal. And does have the Vampiric Scepter, 700, nearly 800 gold in it. Ezreal, however, building to the components of a Triforce, as you'd expect once again. So, with Dragon being down, I don't see a great deal happening here, Spud, until it's back up again.
Yeah, the top lane will continue to go in Mouse's favour. The bot lane is actually not looking too bad for either side right now. I think Makler is going to want to cash in as soon as he can with respect to his adoration stack, since he lost quite a few of them earlier in his death. And maybe when the next Grand Skyfall comes up, that might be the next signal to play. But actually, it looks like the dive is in on Take Farm.
Yep, ult for ult doesn't really do anything, just cancels one another out. But again, Kayle is just about keeping that tower alive in mid. Bot lane Ezreal did just Arcane Shift away, I believe that was. Indeed it will. 15 seconds on that cooldown, so he's being forced out. But Draven has a lot of adoration stacks, I'd imagine there. Just the 13. I'm surprised by that.
I think it doesn't show the third digit. It's a bug with the UI.
Okay. That would make a lot of sense. I was like, surely he's going to have a lot of stacks. And then I saw 13 and thought, what the hell?
Maybe he died recently, I don't know. But Jim's taking, wow.
He is. There's the Exhauster. That will come to the rescue of his AD carry. So, completely cripple any of that damage coming out right now from Makler. Yeah, it definitely is blocking off the third, because I just saw him get 3 last hits and it's still on 14 for me. So, it's 140 odd, 150 odd now, I'd assume.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird UI decision there. They've clearly got space for the third digit, they just don't show it. Bit strange.
Here's a bit of a head scratcher. Top lane, Kubon, Geron both just smashing over the head. Kubon will be forced to back away first, leap striking onto his minions, and he's going to be alright, but still, he is not quite having it his way compared to the first game in the early stages of the laning phase.
It's a little bit strange, actually. I think it may be to do with the item choice here from Irelia. She's got that sheen early, and she shopped relatively recently. That's what's enabled her to be strong. So, I think now that he's gotten back into lane... Oh, Konzizan.
Yeah, is this going to turn sour right now for Mouse? There goes a True Shot Barrage through. Does do quite a chunk of damage, but nice stand aside as well from Draven. Just forces back Eco and Rydell.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, I think now that he's got those items, Kubon is probably going to be stronger than Irelia again. Again, you can't necessarily account on it. This is probably Irelia's strongest time against Jax in the game, but even so, I think probably he'll be stronger. I always did something very strange there. I think probably...
Don't worry, dude. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm so sick. It's unbelievable. It's like proper autopilot. So, K3 though, they pushed this tower, and considering how badly the opening of this game went with Kayle picking up First Blood and the red buff, I've got to give mad props to Neptuno for staying in this game. And in fact, not just staying in this game, but moving himself ahead of Kayle. 2 kills now. and he is looking quite strong. Grand Skyfall coming in, however. Can Libic land Soul Shackles? Can they land the Dark Binding? Yes, they can to the second of those options. Here comes the follow-up damage as well. Wild Growth is popped from Rydell, but Draven will cash in those stacks. 426 gold was cashed in the process. That's a nice chunk of gold to Macklin now. You must be sat on quite a lot, actually. Yeah, 2.6k to be precise.
Yeah, full Bloodthirster when he wants to go back, and that is going to be a big power spike for the Draven. That's a bad sign if they have to go back into this lane, but at the moment, it seems like they want to push this down. I'm not sure about staying in to push this down right now, because you actually see Neptuno roaming down there.
Yeah, the roam is on, but it has been momentarily stalled. A minute on Dragon before that will be respawning. And that probably is going to be the next time we see some action, because apart from that, I think Take Fun's just going to go to mid, get some farm, maybe go back and buy up some items. Actually, no, he's not. He's only got 700. But Draven will, and as you say, just finished off the Bloodthirster instantly, because why not? Huge item for him.
Yeah, that means he's now very, very scary in a one-on-one, honestly, with anyone, because think about Aurelia. If he's really, really good at stand-asiding her when she's trying to Blade Surge to him, he can actually stand aside her away, and he can kite that. He can kite out an Aurelia in that situation, and that's a terrifying proposition if you are Aurelia, because he's going, again, for this glass cannon build, where he's completely squishy items, and only relying on like his base stats to be tanky.
Yeah, another thing, though, that we haven't really mentioned about Kayle, we've spoken in depth about how good the ultimate is in the laning phase, but if you go forward in time to, 30-odd minute mark, when Kubon's going to be jumping in first and trying to make plays, an intervention on Kubon is going to be huge. It's going to allow him to pretty much kill one player before even taking damage himself. That being said, at top lane, if he plays too aggressive here, he could find himself dead. Here comes a counter-strike. Nice bait there from Jerome. And Akhenaten comes in, doesn't get the kill because Jax has flashed away. But still, they will burn that flash and potentially get the tower off it as well.
Here comes the dragon, yeah. And Kubon has his teleport to get up to that top lane again. They're trying to take it quick. They might be able to do it in time, in fact. So does look like it's going to be an even trade in that respect, but Kubon could teleport instead to this mid lane, make one of the minions invulnerable, push down the mid tower very, very quickly indeed. Actually looks like he's not going to opt to teleport at all.
Yeah, mousesports definitely feeling good after that one. 2 objectives for 1 is certainly nice for them. And remember, they are 2 towers behind, and they're still ahead on gold. So when they do close those 2 other towers, which one of which is at 50% HP, they will move slightly more ahead in gold. So definitely something for them to look out for there. Triforce is certainly on the cards for Jax, has Sheen and Phage, whereas Irelia has Sheen and Zeal, so both similar ideas. And that's quite an interesting one, because in the first game, I believe Kubon just rushed Blade of the Rune King first. He wasn't bothered about Triforce.
That is a little bit interesting, but that may have been due to his gold flow. The Blade of the Rune King is obviously a very awkward item to finish off, because you have to get 1,000 gold, and you're also sitting on 2 daggers, which clutters your inventory for a long time, whereas the individual Triforce components aren't amazing, but they're good enough, and that obviously gives you better lane dueling potential. Whereas if you're miles ahead, then obviously going for Blade of the Rune King is really, really solid. Also, it's better if you're really, really behind, because then it gives you better pushing potential against minions, since it's an attack speed thing, which is a constant thing, rather than the spiky damage of a Triforce.
Well, this is, I think it's fair to say this has been the slowest of the games so far, Spud, in this best of 5. It hasn't quite been as many explosions and fireworks as the previous games. But who do you feel that's going to favour? This slow, steady kind of approach?
I've got to give it to Mouse. You can't underestimate how scary Jax is given Kayle Ultimate and given Morgana Black Shield. That's just an unbelievable combination. And Karont3 maybe have some potential to create picks that Mouse are going to be lacking, because obviously mobility, Lulu, Ezreal, Zed, Elise, Irelia. But I don't think they're going to be so good at doing that against Pantheon, who can always look to counter gank. And if they get into a straight up team fight, Mouse are going to be so strong.
Oh, have they been caught out of position here? Have they been up more than they can chew? Kupon's taking a bunch of damage. They're going to maybe turn this one back around, but Constance is going to go down first. And now Take Fun could be following suit. He's already burnt his ultimate, and plays like that will certainly buy K3 some time. Because Jungler is dead. Teleport's going down to bot lane now, so they're looking to get some more global advantages under their belt. Libic will get exhausted. I'm not too sure that's the one they wanted to exhaust. Could have potentially gone on Macler and got that kill, but still a kill is a kill all the same. And globally, they pick up 2.
Yeah, that's very nicely played by Karont3. They will lose in a team fight on equal terms, but they will not lose in a team fight where the Kayle ultimate is forced to use on Kayle, and where there's a lot of damage put down before anything else actually happens in the fight. Macler could be in trouble. Pop summon a heal, gives him movement speed, and gets away.
Yep, that 30% was pretty crucial. Getting back towards Pantheon. Whirling Death comes through, clears out some of those creeps. Yeah, does have his jungler standing right beside him, so they're able to fend off this tower push for now. As you say though, in a straight up 5v5 when all the chips are down, you'd expect Mouse to win, but when they're caught out of position in their own jungle like that, that is definitely where K3 want to fight. It's almost like that guerrilla warfare. They want to pick somebody off before they even know what's happening.
Yeah, indeed. That is the strength of single assassin targets. I mean, Irelia is basically an assassin. That's how she functions. She's like a bruiser assassin. She's a kind of a mixture there, but right now she's got enough damage to be an actual assassin, and right now as well, they've got the vision control to make picks happen. Look at that ward coverage over both the bottom and the upper jungle. Ironically, they're less safe, like in the river and going into the enemy jungle, than they are when they're deep inside.
Well, for me, this is a change of pace as well for Mouse, because typically when they have an advantage, even if it's a small one, you'll see them play more aggressive and kind of branch out and try and take as many objectives as possible. So for them to only have one tower down at this stage of the game is quite confusing to me. I can understand why, because Zed has been roaming like a boss 3-0 and is actually a real threat to be reckoned with, but at the same time I'm surprised they haven't picked up more towers.
They will be okay to take this to the late game, but I agree, they're not being as proactive as they could be. They're just happy to play the defensive game, happy to play the map pressure game, and try to avoid getting picked. They did this in the second game, where they were again playing a stronger late game composition than their enemies, but they were still playing, when they saw an opportunity, they would still go for the tower siege. They would still apply the map pressure, and this game they're just not doing it as much, I'd say.
Yep, certainly seem to have took their foot off the accelerator. Maybe it's after that third game where they did lose, took a bit of the wind out of their sails. Take Fun is hungry for this kill, but Jerome is a bit too tanky at this stage. Has that Triforce, and also the Berserker Greaves are going to get him back. 2 seconds on respawn for Dragon, and Mouse are right on top of this one. Zed's nowhere to be seen, so he's going to be pushing top instead, trying to turn this one back around. If Eco can manage to steal this Dragon, this could be pretty significant, but Pantheon gets it as a Glitter Lance comes through.
Teleport up very soon, Take Fun rotating up there anyway, so that's not going to be an important factor. See how much damage Zed can get down though. Not expecting it to be too much, but actually it was.
Yeah, that Blade of the Rune King is just shredding right now. Reckoning comes through, eats a tower shot as well. There's Reckoning, and also the intervention used. Is Neptune going to be able to pick up this kill? No, he's not, but here's Jerome to take down that kill, and the shutdown gold as well coming in from Take Fun, so not completely terrible. Does keep the tower alive, but only just.
Yeah, increases the gold lead for now, but can Karont3 get away? Yes.
Yep, repelling onto those golems. Good guy golems. Bot lane, Draven has chunked down Jims pretty significantly. Has a last whisper with a Bloodthirster, so he's going to be hitting like a truck when those spinning axes are held high and going down fast. But the problem is now from Jims that can he really afford to go back into lane when he's this low against Draven? Because if one stand-aside lands on top of him, he's dead. Top lane though, speaking of dead, that's Irelia falling. Eco could be falling as well as... And Eco is going to fall. Double kill for Pantheon out of nowhere, and that's really, really big for Mouse.
Wow, that looked like a terrible position for Kubon, because that was a gank initiated by Karont3, but they were so desperate to try and kill him that when the man drop came down, it did the full damage, and I think they got stunned, both of them, by the counter-strike as well, so it ended up being a straight-up 2-for-nothing trade that they initiated.
This is the reason I say it's huge, because it's not just the kills, but it's the fact that Gonda-san can now push this tower as well, and forces Zed to come to top lane to deal with him, which frees up Draven and Morgana to push bot lane. It's this domino effect, and that's exactly what they've done. Fair enough, Gonda-san may go down here, because Neptuno is so big at this stage of the game, but that's going to be Lulu falling up bot lane. Here comes Jeron from the side, however, and here comes the teleport as well from Kubon. Can they turn it back around? Counter-strike will land, and Draven's now going to get the double kill. You do not want to get Draven fed, because he will punish you. Triple kill for him, and he's cashing in adoration stacks left, right, and center. They're going to get the tower as well. Huge passage of play for mousesports.
Yeah, I'd just like to know, Mackler is now sitting on 3,800 gold, so he can straight buy an Infinity Edge when he gets back. That's scary, by the by. And now it does look like Mouse are looking for this tower at the bottom lane. Zed's going to get that top one.
Yep, they are going to trade towers. As you say, Draven is sat on a handsome amount of gold, 4.2k now. And he may very well want to try and pick up some more farm before going back. Now, he's probably just going to recall. Make sure he doesn't get caught in the process, but as you say, that's an Infinity Edge. Berserker Greaves, he's going to be coming back into the lane so big, and if they can just peel for him, which they should be able to with the team comp they've got, he is going to run rampant and just smash everybody down.
Yeah, I've been banging on about how Jax functions when he's got a Morgana Black Shield and a intervention on him, but yeah, it works just as well with Draven, because they're both the same style of characters. They're characters that just do so much damage that you cannot ignore them, and as a result, suddenly it looks a bit ugly for Karont3. They've lost a lot of ground, they've lost a lot of gold, and they're going for a Baron. This is very risky. Kubon should ward this.
This is straight up a desperation barrel, I have to feel. Realising they've been on the receiving end of a battering, I'm a bit surprised that Draven didn't sell one of his Thorin's blades to pick up the Berserker Greaves. I feel it would have been a good trade there, because the extra attack speed and movement speed would have allowed him to kite more and to get into close proximity a bit quicker. Fair enough, he has the Blood Rush, but I guess it's just a personal preference thing. It's really a heads and tails kind of coin flip between AD carries.
I mean, if you think about it in terms of stats efficiency, it probably is actually more efficient to hold on to the Doran's blade and to build the Berserker's Greaves. But yeah, the movement speed would be really nice to have.
Oh, well, speaking of movement speed, Jim's wishes he had a bit more. Willing Death comes through, and that is the power of Infinity Edge, Bloodthirst, the Last Whisper, all on top of each other. In fact, let me have a quick check at how much damage his ultimate's actually doing right now. Yeah, about 500 per hit, so about 1,000 if you stood in all of it.
AoE.
That's scary. Yeah, and AoE as well.
Yeah, that is scary stuff. Man drop.
Man drop underneath the tower, counter-strike on top of that as well, and this could actually finish very quickly. Irelia goes after Morgana, does get the kill eventually as the last tower shot comes on in, but the damage has already been done. Another tower, and they're moving up towards the Baron. This should be free.
Yeah, they're going to get that. They will clear it so fast. Watch this Baron. It's going to go down in a record time right now, because they have a phenomenal Baron taking team. Hey, look at it. Look at it. You got nothing. You got nothing, Baron. They're going to try and teleport? No, okay. That was the recall. I saw the recall animation out the corner of my eye, and I thought it was going to be a teleport in from Jerem, but no. Bottom tower, though.
Israel wasn't even that far away with the steal attempt, which is impressive considering there was no wards there, just pure guess. They did get a tower, 9k difference between the two teams, but the gold doesn't really matter. It's kind of negligible at this point. It's more about the fact there's Baron, it's more about the fact of where the kills are coming down for the side of Mouse. For the likes of Draven, he's now finished off his Berserker Greaves and Quicksilver Sash. So he is absolutely huge. It's not even 30 minutes yet and he's got these items.
He could probably duel Zed now. He's strong enough to take on Zed a one-on-one. Libic, though, not so much.
No, Libic is going to get caught out here. Again, it's a bit of a lapse in concentration. Maybe he wasn't expecting 3 people to be in that situation, but in doing so, he's dead for 30 seconds, and even though it's unlikely they're going to lose any towers, this stops Mouse from being aggressive. They can't really afford to without Morgana.
Yeah, and it gives the Dragon over to Karont3. It's a very nice pick by Karont3, but it was just bad by Libic, I'm afraid. There's no two ways about it. Sorry.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, to be honest. I think he'd agree. He probably face-palmed as soon as he saw 3 of them there. He's like, what am I doing with my life? Because it was just completely unforced. There was no need to be there. Speaking of which, Rydell's also found himself in a similar position. Mackler as well. They are pushing the self-destruct button right now. If Mackler goes down, this is going to be curtains. However, Understand is coming around from the corner. Echo's taking all of this damage, but this is a 5 versus 3 situation with Jax pushing at top lane. This is terrible right now from Mouse. They've lost 2 more players. So Morgana respawns, but at the cost of 2 players. Yes, Jax is pushing the top lane, and he should be able to pick up this tower. But K3 could potentially try and push bot lane. They've now found Libic again, who's trying to get away from the AD carry. Mackler, what are you doing? I have no idea what's happening right now.
They could lose the game off this.
Exactly. It's almost like Mouse want this game to go into a 5th one. Libic's going to fall as well for the double kill. Jax is still pushing, but this is going to turn into a base race.
I just don't understand. They're not going to lose the game right now, okay? The Karont3 are not tanky enough to get that far in. And in fact, I think Rydell may be about to pay for his... No? Okay, Mikhail's Crucible. But still, I just don't even.
Oh, Kubon does finally get that kill. And he'll be able to turn back around on that. He went very, very deep there. And I thought for a second he'd gone too deep. Instead he turns back around though, picks up the inhibitor. And they're cancelling these recalls. So Kubon actually could get a Nexus tower. Potentially both of them actually. They're finally going to get some of the recalls in, but Kubon's going to pick up this Nexus tower.
This is interesting.
That's the next one. This is greedy. This is greedy, but he's going to get it, and he may even kill Neptune. No, he goes back with his ultimate. But yeah, I would say it's worth, honestly, taking both the Nexus towers and an inhibitor for your own life. He's only dead for 45 seconds. There's no way they're pushing the base in that time.
Yeah, that was absolutely worthwhile for Kubon, and in the end... Although Mouse took unnecessary risks and they did get caught out, it has accelerated this game in their favor overall because now they've got big opportunities to force. Karont3's ability to turtle has been seriously reduced by that passage of play, even though the gold gap was actually decreased and they lost a lot of Baron buffs, and arguably it wasn't worth it. At the same time, even though it could have gone even worse, and in that case Mouse would have definitely regretted it, the way it actually happened worked out in Mouse's favor. That whole passage of play.
I was really hoping that we saw Jax just pop down a ward before dying so that he could teleport on the ward and backdoor. That would have been glorious, but he wasn't quite able to pull that one off.
Waiting for the Pantheon.
That's also true. There's a lot of ways they can backdoor this game, actually.
Pantheon man drops in, puts down a ward, Kubon teleports on the ward.
Exactly. And
flawless.
A quick 1-2 combination, and that's exactly what's going to keep K3 in the back foot now. They have to play passive, otherwise that's a very real possibility before that inhibitor respawns.
Be very funny if that happens. In fact, the funny thing now, of course, as well, is that if Maus get into a fight and they look like they're losing, one of their guys can just say, okay, well, screw it, I'm gonna just man drop over there instead, and Karont3 will be forced to disengage at that point.
Well, it's quite tense now, honestly. We had a very slow, steady approach in the game, and then suddenly, as you say, that passage of play really swung things open for Nows. Jax is pushing the top lane, and in the meanwhile, 3 players strong are going bot, and they're going to have to deal with Jax. They cannot afford to let him push, otherwise he will straight up end the game.
And he's now way stronger than any individual on Karont3. They need to catch him out in a 2-on-1 if they want to do anything at all in this situation, and it's going to be very difficult to find the time to do that, especially if he kills Neptune.
Oh, we've seen this before. Neptune was saved by the rest of his team. He will be going back, but he's popped the ultimate. Now Coupons drew 3 players to top lane. The rest of his team should now be collapsing on this bottom tower. That's exactly what they're doing, but they haven't managed to pick it up just yet. So, it
worth it.
Quite work.
these inhib towers will regen.
Yeah.
That is really, really good because they've killed Kuban. They've given themselves a chance to get back some control. Their own inhib will respawn. The Baron will come up in about a minute, and maybe they can force that objective in order to stop Kuban from being able to apply the split push pressure, force him into a team fight where maybe he won't be as useful as he would be anyway. I still feel like Mouse have got this game in the bag, but they are opening the bag that little bit more and more as time goes by, and the cat may escape at this rate. And there's some mixed metaphors for you.
There are many mixed metaphors, but the point stands that they're not as clinical as we saw in games 1 and 2. Not by any stretch of the imagination. There's two ways of looking at that. One is that they're not performing as well, and the other is that K3 are performing better. They've kind of woken up from their slumber, because we know they're a very good team, and they just didn't show it in the first 2 games. But Mouse, all things considered, are still very much in the driver's seat. They have Nexus towers down. They have a naked inhibitor at top lane. If they can make one big play and get a couple people dead, they can finish the game.
Yeah, their map presence at the moment is stronger. They've got stronger team fight. They've got the only thing where they don't do as well is picking, but even in then, they've got the tools to avoid being picked off so long as they just play it smart. Maybe next time Jax won't get so deep on Zed that he gets caught in another 3-on-1, but if it keeps happening, could be a problem.
Yep, Dragon is available. It's not exactly the most important of things right now in this game, but it is going to give a nice amount of gold over to K3 and potentially get them some items. However, if Mouse had reacted quickly there, they could have potentially picked up the Baron. Another pause coming in though from Mouse, so Neptuno again maybe?
It's a little bit hard to know. Karont3, though.
Of course it wouldn't be Neptuno, that's the wrong team. What am I talking about?
They knew. They
paused for Neptuno.
Yeah. Well, we paused the game. Our cameras showed. No, but seriously speaking, Karont3 right now look like they're going for a 3-man gank on the bottom lane. That is a terrible plan. That is a terrible, terrible plan. And if they do that, I think they will lose the game because look at where the position of the rest of Maus is. They are all around the Baron area. It will not take them long to take that down. And killing Kuban, even with those 3 characters who are very, very fast, is going to be a tall order. If he sees them coming, and most likely he will see them before they can straight up kill him or get on him, he's going to be able to run away pretty effectively with his leap strike, with his flash, which he has, and even look for an opportunity to TP out. So it's a very high risk for a low reward, and it's also going to give an opportunity for a counterplay from Maus, which will have much, much better risk-reward stats.
We're going to have to see which way the chips fall down here. If they do decide to go for Kuban or potentially another play. Player has reconnected, so I'm not sure what the delay is now. Has he actually stayed reconnected? Yes, he has. And it's Take Fun. So I have no idea what's going on here. We haven't been given any information. I've checked Skype. Nothing there either. So we're just going to wait. There he is. He's reconnected again.
Oh, the
Musical
magic of servers. I know. It's lovely. No, you can't have all 10 players connected to the game at once. That would be a fun game mode. Riot, you should implement it. Every time the 10th player connects, it knocks a random other player out of the game.
I'd probably have more fun with that game mode than I do Earth, to be honest.
I hate Earth mode.
I'm just not a fan of it. I can see why other people enjoy the game mode, but I just personally don't. I much prefer ranked.
Yeah, it was fun for like the first 2 days or so, I'd say. Like the first couple of games, because everyone was just playing like whatever they wanted. And now, if you queue up for Earth mode, it's like Ezreal, Zed, whatever the most broken champions are. And it's just horrible to play against because that game mode snowballs like nothing else you've ever seen. It snowballs like a friggin' avalanche down a mountain that's a fucking vertical slope.
Nice.
I only uttered some syllables there, therefore it wasn't me breaking various broadcasting rules. But I hate Earth mode, TLDR.
I having played Alistar, against Alistar, I should say, in Earth mode before he was banned or removed or whatever for being OP. It was the least fun I think I've ever had in League of Legends. There was just no fun to be had. Because for some reason I picked AD carry, which by the way sucks in Earth mode, really, really bad. And all he did all game was headbutt pulverize, headbutt pulverize. I could not move. It was so boring. So dull.
I actually, my first experience was against an Alistar, but I was playing Ari at the time, which made it more interesting because we both had dashes like on a really short cooldown, and I could play the game of like charm him while he's mid headbutt to cancel the damage. So that was like not as terrible for me. For me, like the least fun I ever had in Earth mode was probably against Sona, because it was like a Sona Mordekaiser lane, I think it was against, and it was just ridiculous. Like they healed for all their health in like 10 seconds. I was like, well, I sure am glad I picked a champion, because I can't even remember what I was playing, but I knew I couldn't harass them out. I think it might have been Ari. I was like, sure I'm glad I picked a champion that relies on poke here, because there's just no point.
Yeah, it's a weird game mode for me, honestly. I can understand the fun in it, but I personally just don't find it enjoyable. It's kind of the opposite to me of Aram, where I don't know why I enjoy Aram, but I do. You know what I mean? Like I can't really put words on it, especially when I'm this out of it. To be honest, I'm like, oh my brain.
For me, Aram is like I'm. It's all right. Like I'll play an Aram occasionally, but I generally it's like there are some champions you can get on Aram where it's just you just do nothing all game, and I don't enjoy that at all. But sometimes it's all right.
Well,
Still no news on what's going on in the game.
yeah, no news. I'm gonna probably pop a question in the Skype chat and ask if we are likely to go live again soon, so we can update the viewers.
Yeah,
because this is getting a bit
it's
crazy.
Lengthy. Yeah. So Take Fun is the one that disconnected for that one person in Hitbox TV. Follow the channel chat. That he is the guy. Question. I still think Mouse should get this game. Still think they should get this game, but I just can't tell you whether that'll actually happen or not, because humans, we mere humans playing this game, demonstrating our mortality, etc., etc. Something overdramatic.
Well, I asked in the chat that we have with both of the managers of the team, like what's going on with this pause, and so far I've had no reply. So, fingers crossed we will be notified soon, because as I understand, it's Take Fun. He's quit, reconnected, quit again. So clearly he has a lot of problems right now.
Yeah, it's difficult to know. It really is difficult to know exactly what's going on with this. Like, for me, Take Fun, I mean, obviously, no player can disconnect at this stage of the game. It's too close. No, like that's ridiculous. But for me, Take Fun in this game, I think he's been present. He's been doing all right, but I don't think there's been anything too remarkable about him. Game.
Who's that? Take Fun?
Yeah, he's been doing all right. Like, don't get me wrong, but
yeah, The thing is that I'm basing a lot of this off the third game, which honestly wasn't his fault because he was just camped so hard. But yeah, I would say I think he's a solid mid laner, but he's not exactly wowing me to the point where I'm like, this guy is MVP every game. I feel that Kondasan, however, has really impressed me. So I'd probably go ahead and say that he's been, for me, so far in this entire series, the MVP from his previous games. He's not really been shining as hard in this game, but specifically the first two games, that Kha'Zix was incredible for his first game. Forced the ban out every single game since. And he's really been very, very solid.
It does strike me he might have a bit of a limited champion pool.
True.
He's not been performing, I'd say, as well off of the Kha'Zix and off of the Lee Sin, which we never even saw in the first place. So maybe he's a genius on those couple of characters, but if you push him off of those, he's not as comfortable, because like you say, I don't think he's been as comfortable in the third and fourth game, and I think that has actually affected the overall smartness of Mao's shot calling, because they made some really clever plays in the first two games. It wasn't just that they were ahead and snowballing it. They were smart. They were making, like, Kondazan knew exactly, like, his incredibly ballsy start worked perfectly fine. He started at the enemy red buff alone, worked out fine, and that gave him the positioning. He then invaded the enemy jungle, stole away. Actually, didn't steal away the buff. I think he killed him because he. No, did he get the smite? I can't remember on that one at the start. But regardless, he knew where the enemy jungler was all the time, and he was making very sensible plays based off of that information. And it was just nice to watch. But this game, he hasn't seemed to have been quite so cerebral about how he's been playing. He's been playing more like a standard jungler.
Yeah, going back to what you mentioned previously about the limited champion pool, I agree with what you're saying. I also feel, however, that if a team is banning out two of your junglers, I mean, that in itself is almost a declaration of how they feel, how strong you are as a jungler. Like, that's saying, okay, your Lee Sin, your Kha'Zix is way too good. We don't want any part of that. And therefore opens up a lot more champions for the rest of the team. So again, Libic is able to play Thresh or Morgana. Kubon can play his Jax, which he is known for being very strong on. And this game, other than a couple of hiccups, he has been incredibly good on. So I do feel that Kondazan has kind of came into the team, and for me, he's really impressed me. I can't really fault anything. What I would say is, he doesn't seem to play any AP-based junglers, or junglers that have AP in their kit, such as Elise. Maybe that's something that he would want to move towards eventually, because if you're always playing AD junglers, that kind of limits the rest of your team as to what they can play.
Yeah, we did just get the reconnect coming in, so hopefully the game will get underway shortly. 15 seconds, says Kubon, so I'm hoping that's not like the 5 seconds that most people say, where it's like 4 or 5 times longer than what you actually say, because that would still mean we've got another couple of minutes, but hopefully this will get underway shortly. I like Kondazan. Yeah, I do definitely like Kondazan's play so far. I'm just curious. Like, I'm trying to. What was the last thing you said about Kondazan? I'm trying to remember. I've lost it clearly.
Basically that he doesn't play champions that have AP in their kit, but we have got the unpause. Yeah. I was basically saying about Elise, and other junglers who do run AP on them. Now, we were talking before about what is it that K3 are going to do about this, and the answer is they've gone for a base race. They chased after Kubon, they realised the kill wasn't there, Kubon's teleported to the top lane on the inhibitor, while the rest of his team picks up Baron. And you can see that K3 are caught in two minds. Their AD carry staying at bot lane, the rest of them have recalled, and in doing so, they've kind of done nothing.
Stupid decision. Like, no two ways around it. That was just bad. They should have either gone for the base race, gone for the inhib, traded the inhib with Mouse, or they should have stayed around and tried to fight for the Baron. But honestly, I think they maybe should have gone for the base race. They might have been able, they had two guys near the Baron pit, they might have been able to stop those guys recalling. But as it is, they're just now going to fall behind, lose this inhib. The pressure will continue, and unless Kubon makes a big mistake like he did before, they're not going to lose this game from this.
I can't see how the loss will come in from here.
Maybe if Maxley gets caught out, something like that. But again, it's always got intervention, always got Black Shield.
It's a strange one for me because you can see that K3 want to engage, but they just won't. And I understand why, because if they lose a couple of players, they're going to lose the game. But at the same point, they're just slowly but surely losing this matchup anyway.
Yeah, Irelia, like, this is one of the actual problems with Irelia. People think of her as a time bomb champion. They think of her as being incredibly strong, etc, etc, etc. But she's not that good in late game teamfights. She's good, don't get me wrong, but she's not fantastic. She's not amazing. Her damage isn't quite as amazing late game, and I think that's because the true damage falls off by comparison. It's flat. At level 9, it's as strong as it is at level 18, and unless she builds a ton of damage items, which is a very dangerous proposition, then she's going to fall off. She's also bursty. She's like an assassin. That will fall off late game unless you've got like hyper hyper out of control scaling like Zed does. So yeah, she's just not as great as Jax is late game. That's what I'd say.
So apparently the stream's offline. A lot of people are complaining in the chat that it's gone offline. It's offline for me as well.
Yeah.
Is it offline for you? Yeah.
Try restarting it?
I've restarted it like 5 times.
Alright.
Maybe it's some issues with Hitbox then. Not entirely sure. We'll just keep casting though regardless, because you're recording this, aren't you, Ruben? So we can put it up for VOD and reruns and all that good stuff. And this has been, it feels a lot longer because of the pause that we've had, but 38-minute epic game where Mouse have everything in their hands. They have this game to lose pretty much at this point. They picked up the second inhibitor tower. Here comes a re-engage though from Eco. He's taking point, forcing away some of the abilities and the flash as well from Morgana, but still they're going to be happy with that trade. They got the inhibitor tower down. It's now vulnerable as well.
Feels like that was Karont3's last chance, honestly. Like, what are they going to do now? Because they just got their inhib open. They had a chance maybe to get an engage there because Mouse took a lot of damage in that engage, and they could have tried to follow that up. But now there's an open inhib to force, there's minion pressure in the top lane, the Nexus is still exposed, of course, and they're going to be free to do whatever they want. Kubon will have teleport before too long, even if he doesn't, Pantheon can split with bot lane. There are so many options here, so many options for Mouse, and so few for Karont3, that if they could have chased that last fight, maybe they could have turned it in their favor, and it would have been a better odds situation than this.
I can't help but feel this has the feeling of K3 circling the drain at this point. You know, it's hard for me to imagine how they're going to bounce back into this game. Jerome's been caught. If he dies, this game is pretty much over. I can't see how they will survive it. And he will be dying. There's no two ways about this. Righteous Fury comes on through, will secure that kill. And now they're just going to group and push the bot lane. Irelia is dead for 53 seconds. At the very, very least, all the inhibitors will be dead after this push. They may very well just rush straight through to the Nexus.
It's so easy for them to do that. It's wide open and available. And my stream is just loaded up and is now playing the sound at me. Kubon.
Yeah, that's Rydell dead as well. This is pretty much GG. Unless a miracle happens, they're going to stave off this one for 26 seconds. Allow Irelia to get back up again. Now Eco's taking the brunt of the damage. He is going to be falling as well. In fact, no, he won't be. They're just going to go for the Nexus. There's no way of them stopping. Zed goes on take, but that's going to be the GG. And Mouse take it 3-1 in this best of 5. They win $200 and progress through to the semi-finals of the Hitbox TV Challenger Face-Off. Well-deserved winners in the end.
Yeah, indeed. And I believe that means that when we get to the semi-finals, they will be going up against Gamers 2. I think that's how the bracket is structured, but I'm not 100% certain on that, but I think that's how it is. So, yeah, most likely, says our producer. So, that is, in fact, all for today. We will have reruns coming up after this, so don't go anywhere if you